For a long time, many men have believed that being manly is the key to being attractive. Pop culture hasn't helped. Iconic characters like Tony Stark and James Bond are often shown as suave, womanizing, hyper-confident symbols of masculinity. But it's important to recognize something here. These characters were created by men, for men. They're power fantasies, they're aspirational models, not necessarily reflections of what women are actually attracted to. So, what happens when women are the ones behind the stories? When female writers, directors, or target audiences shape a male character, what traits do they highlight? What kind of men are portrayed as love interests, as villains, or as emotionally desirable? And more importantly, how should men today interpret these portrayals? That's the core of today's video. We'll look at how attraction is represented in media targeted toward women, and what it reveals about real-life expectations, challenges, and contradictions. Let's begin. Well, there's no single answer. Attraction is personal, contextual, and heavily influenced by culture. What's considered attractive in one region might not translate at all in another. But studies have shown that certain trends do exist. A 2025 study published in the Journal of Experimental Psychology, with participants from both the UK and Japan, found that many women favored men with more traditionally feminine facial features. Think softer cheekbones, clearer skin, and even longer lashes. This seems to challenge the idea that rugged macho looks are the gold standard. In fact, what many women might actually find appealing isn't brute masculinity, but rather an aesthetic balance, strength, paired with softness. We see this clearly in animation, particularly in the character of Flynn Rider from Tangled. Flynn isn't just a good-looking animated guy. He was intentionally designed to be attractive, with input from female employees at Disney. During what they called the Hot Man meeting, women were asked to bring in pictures of men they found attractive. The team then crafted Flynn based on that feedback. Sure, he has broad shoulders, a square jaw, and that classic Disney smirk. But he also has delicate features, clean skin, long lashes, and boyish charm. Interestingly, early designs made him more muscular and masculine, but those were toned down. Why? Because women preferred something more balanced. Less G.I. Joe, more Ken doll. Flynn Rider, or rather Eugene Fitzherbert, is attractive not just because of his looks, but because of his emotional vulnerability, something he reveals only after developing trust with Rapunzel. That vulnerability is what really opens the door to love. Now contrast Flynn with Gaston from Beauty and the Beast. Gaston is loud, arrogant, and obsessed with his own strength. He sees Belle not as a person, but as a prize. He represents the extreme version of masculine entitlement, what some might call the alpha male archetype. And crucially, he's not supposed to be attractive to the audience. He's the joke, the cautionary tale, the character we're meant to mock, not admire. He's what happens when masculinity is pushed into caricature, hollow and insecure under the surface. And then we have Mr. Darcy, perhaps one of the most enduring romantic leads in women's literature. When we meet him, he's stiff, distant, and even a little rude. Elizabeth Bennet and the audience immediately finds him cold and unlikable. But the brilliance of his character is that he evolves. After being confronted and rejected, Darcy doesn't sulk or lash out. He reflects, he changes, he grows. And he doesn't grow for Elizabeth. He grows because he realizes he can be better. When he helps her family or protects his sister, he doesn't announce it. He doesn't use it to earn affection. He does it quietly, because it's right. Ultimately, Elizabeth falls in love with him because he becomes someone worthy of love, not just someone who desires it. Circling back to Tangled, It's important to note when Rapunzel truly falls for Flynn, or rather, Eugene. It's not when he's showing off. It's when he drops the act and tells her his real name. Not as a seduction tactic, but in a moment of honesty, when he believes he's about to die. He lets her in. And that's the foundation of their relationship. Trust, not charm. The key point here? Women often fall for men when emotional barriers come down, not when a man wins them over with flashy gestures. Research consistently suggests that men tend to fall in love faster than women, or at least express love earlier. Women, generally speaking, take more time. Emotional intimacy isn't rushed. It's something that grows with vulnerability and shared experiences. And that brings us to a story that reflects this perfectly. Greta Gerwig's Lady Bird. In Lady Bird, Christine experiences two very different types of romantic relationships, and both reflect her own evolving identity. First, there's Danny, the sweet theater boy who's warm, kind, and safe. He fits the mold of what a young girl might dream of. But their relationship ends in betrayal when she learns he's been hiding a part of himself, that he's gay. Heartbroken and confused, she rebounds with Kyle, a brooding, anti-establishment type who talks about politics and reads books at parties. He's mysterious, different, and ultimately emotionally unavailable. Lady Bird reshapes herself to try to fit into his world, changing her style, her values, even her friends. But eventually, she sees through the performance. Kyle doesn't really care about her. He never did. These two relationships aren't just love stories. They reflect Lady Bird's inner transformation. What she values, what she tolerates, who she's becoming. And by the end, she's ready to leave her hometown and those versions of herself behind. So, what do women want? The truth is, it depends. Some women are drawn to confidence, others to kindness. Some might value vulnerability, while others prefer mystery. Preferences shift with time, context, age, and self-awareness. The male gaze and female gaze are useful concepts, but they aren't absolute. They're patterns, not rules. Women can be shallow. Men can be emotional. Attraction is human, not gendered. But if there's one thing we can learn from these stories, it's this: emotional openness matters. Being seen, being understood, and making space for growth, that's what gives a romance lasting power. And perhaps, just perhaps, the real question isn't what women want in a man, but whether men are willing to be truly seen beyond the mask. If you enjoyed this dive into media, gender, and storytelling, hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe for more deep dives. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.